Welcome to the Light, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, welcome back for another edition of Lights, Camera, Rant. And as you all know, we like to get into the news and then we get into the reviews, which for this week will be the latest Fantastic Beasts. So I got to see that over the weekend, and we've got the latest episode of Halo and the latest episode of Moonknight, which is just heating up and is getting really interesting. So I'll get into that a little bit later, but let's get into the news. A little housekeeping. First things first. Big milestone this past week, we hit 200 followers on Instagram. I know for some people that might be really small, but for this small little podcast, it means a lot. And I thank to everyone who does follow us on Instagram, and of course TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know all a lot. Your view does go a long way, and I do always appreciate any interaction you guys have and getting anyone's thoughts, recommendations, of course, any dislikes that you don't like on latest stuff that's coming out, because it creates discussion and different thought processes, and it makes it really interesting. So, but yes, we hit 200 followers on Instagram, which thank you very much. Also, if you haven't already, definitely go check out the latest episode of international guests, the Nerd Dose podcast. So I sit down with those guys. They're an American podcast, and it was a lot of fun to talk with them, discuss with them about their thoughts on movies, our recommendations. It was fun to try and figure out the time difference. That was probably the most, because it was their Saturday night, my Sunday morning, bright and early to try and record with these guys. They will definitely be coming on this podcast again, and I can't wait to have them on. They were lovely, and definitely go check out their podcast as well. They're called the Nerd Dose Podcast. So let's get into news. So if you haven't already, which if you haven't, you're going insane. Doctor Strange 2 tickets have now gone on sale. So definitely go pick them up if you haven't already, because this is going to be a massive movie. And I got my tickets within that day. I got them that day they went on sale, which was on April the 7th, because they're going to fly. You know, this is going to be probably the biggest movie of the year so far, money-wise, which I have no doubt. Apparently, I did see the fact that on Ticket Tech or Fandango, is it the ticket sale one, that Doctor Strange 2 is the highest ticket sales in the movie so far, which is no surprise, that being the first Marvel movie. So if you haven't already, go pick them up. You're mad if you haven't already. But yeah, they're going to sell. Speaking of Marvel, which the Thor 4 press release tour has begun. Thor 4 Love and Thunder. So that's all going to start rolling out very soon. Unfortunately, with Thor 4, they have also broken a record, which was very surprising. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, come on. So Thor 4 actually currently holds the record of the shortest amount of time between the first trailer being released to when the movie actually comes out. So this movie comes out on July the 4th, I'm pretty sure it comes out. So the gap, it's not very far away, but we haven't got the trailer for it yet. Which the previous record holder was The Incredible Hulk back in 2008. However, Thor 4 now takes the cake for the shortest amount of runtime. The rumor is the trailer is meant to drop on the 11th of this month, which for any Australian people, that will mostly be the 12th of April. Which I really do hope, because this movie is going to be very curious to see where this is going to go. Obviously, Jane Foster's going to become Thor. Christian Bale is the bad guy. And we get Rip Thor again. And obviously Taika Waititi is returning. So there's a lot of elements going into this movie, which I'm very intrigued to see how it's going to be. And, I was just talking to a mate the other day, and I was like, how is the Hammer going to come back? Like, are they just going to go forge it like they did in Infinity War? Or are they going to do, like, they're going to take it from another timeline? Obviously, it's not going to be enchanted anymore. Or is it? Like, that's... My biggest intrigue thing is about the hammer. Is like, how's that's going to sit into everything? But yes, guys, the trailer should be just around the corner. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. As soon as it gets released, I'm sharing the shit out of it because I want to see this, obviously. Also, still talking about Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has also broken another world record. Well, actually, broken a world record for the most makeup applications during a movie production. So obviously that means the fact that they're going with the practical effects out of this window for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which doesn't surprise me being, James Gunn and Marvel. But most makeup applications in a single movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has broken that, which the previous record holder was actually the Grinch, which has actually held that for 20 years. So, yeah. So would love to see a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but we're still a little while off before we get that. Thanks to, obviously, the firing of James Gunn, which we guys all already know. But, when I saw that, I thought, really? I'm like, so I guess they're going all out for this one. They're all going all out, which James Gunn has said the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be the last time that we will see the entire team together, which is very sad. So, obviously, they might die. I have no doubt someone is going to die. But, them obviously joining different teams. But this will be the last time we see the Guardians of the Galaxy team together. So this one is most likely 100% going to pull on those lovely heartstrings, aren't they? But yeah, moving on. For any Witcher fans, Season 3 is now in production that got announced. So if that's been in production now... Probably looking, hopefully, obviously, Christmas and this year. It might be a bit of push. Probably looking at Feb next year. Obviously, with anything getting shot at the moment, obviously, all the delays of COVID are greatly reduced, which I do hope. But yeah, Witcher 3, Season 3 is now in production, guys. So, about 12 months' time, strap yourself in for Netflix, guys, because it's going to be on there. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball. I need to get on that to myself. I know everyone's probably like, well, what do you mean you haven't watched it yet? I'm like, oh, sorry. I need to get onto The Witcher. I need to get onto that ball, especially now where it's 3 seasons. I'm falling further and further behind. But all the hype and how well the first 2 seasons have gone, I have no surprises of Season 3, which I'm pretty sure, I think one of the showrunners, the fact that there's enough content they've got lined up for like 8 or 9 seasons. So The Witcher is very much staying around. Not to mention Warner Brothers is in no rush to get Henry Cavill clearly to come back as Superman. So... no rush there, buddy. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers doesn't want you. Warner Brothers doesn't want Isla Miller at the moment either, because he's... apparently, report that Warner Bros. Had an emergency meeting on what they're going to do with the Flash. Which, to me, I don't know if it's going to be an emergency meeting. It's probably just the fact that they're just going to have a talk with him. Look, I'd be pissed too if I found out the fact that there was all this promotional material saying my movie's coming out this year, and then it got pushed back. I'd be like, oh, well, you know what? I'm just going to go get really angry at a karaoke party. Which... yes, that's what he did, and oh god, dude, you're in the limelight. You gotta be more conscientious. Don't put yourself in a situation like that. And not to mention the fact that I think last year, the year before that, he also got videotaped choking out a fan as well. Not looking good for the Flash and Fantastic Beast, but yeah. Also, Morbius. Besides my candidate review of it last week. Had made $84 million at the global box office on its opening weekend, which is good numbers. That's good numbers. The thing is, I have no doubt that Jared Leto will return as Morbius, whether or not in a team-up movie or in his own movie, because Jared Leto is a big star. But right now at the stage, the money is a lot more positive than the reviews at the moment. So that's a good sign for any Morbius fans if you want to see Jared Leto again. More I thought about it, after I released my episode about it, more I thought about it to myself, God, there was just so many things missing, and I still found something as well. Apparently, Tyrese Gibson's character in the trailer was also shown having a metal arm, which I don't know which promo that was, but I saw the clip. Yet he has no metal arm in the movie, so there's still another plot hole. And I'm like, oh my god! Like I can't wait until this movie comes out on DVD to see the entire list of deleted scenes. Or, you know, how about we get a director's cut? That'd be really nice as well. So also moving on, any Max Payne fans for 1 and 2? Rockstar has announced that they are remaking them from the ground up for modern consoles. No release date at this stage, but they are getting remade for any Max Payne fans. Look, let's just hope the fact that they do a lot better than the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Trilogy and has a much smoother launch in getting those, because these are classic games. You have to handle them very in particular, which Rockstar, you know, did the press thing about the whole game of Grand Theft Auto, and the fact that they will be putting a lot more TLC into Definitive Edition to fix all the bugs. But yeah, Max Payne fans, strap yourself in. Also, moving on, Will Smith. Will Smith has got his announcement. What happens to his punishment at the Oscars? He gets a 10-year ban. So he cannot return to the Oscars for 10 years. Now look, I don't know if that means he can't be nominated, but he can't go back. And look, a lot of people might say, you know, that might be too long, or that's not long enough. But look, you know, 10 years is a solid time. He's still going to be acting. So I have no doubt after that 10-year mark, he'll probably be like, oh, my big return coming to the Oscars once again. You know, do I get a whole backlog for all the movies I get nominated? No. You chose to slap Chris Rock. It's your own fault. Deal with it. And not to mention, I've still been seeing so many reports of the fact that his stock has just absolutely plummeted, which it should. You know, you did the wrong thing, mate, and it's appalling, and, you know, you could have handled that situation better, but obviously, well, what did he say? Oh, you know, you do things when you're in love. I'm like, no, I can't imagine you go up in a completely public setting like that and slap another grown man, which you could be charged for assault. Not to mention you are in a particular setting like that where any joke can fly, so if you don't want to go into a particular area where jokes may fly to anybody, including your wife, then don't put yourself into that setting. How hard is it? Figure that out. But yeah, 10 years, so we don't have to see Will Smith at the Oscars anymore, which some people may be like, that's bloody fantastic, and other people might be like, oh, but yeah, I think Will Smith should still be in trouble for what he's doing. Also, my last bit of news is that for anyone who is waiting for the 2 Point College game, which is a sequel to the 2 Point Hospital, that's been delayed from the May the 9th to August the 9th. The funny thing is, I have this game on pre-order on Amazon, and I got a notification saying it got delayed. And I was like, what? Why did it got delayed? But I read it twice because I was like, oh no, it got delayed probably about, you know, shipping wise. No, it got delayed for 3 months. I'm like, what? Why did it get delayed for 3 months? So I had to double check and how to look myself. I was like, oh yeah, actually they announced it's been delayed for 3 months because apparently they want to put more time to optimize it for every single console for launch, which is perfectly fine. They said that apparently the game is pretty much like 98% ready to go. They just want to optimize it perfectly, which is completely understandable, especially when you're going on multiple platforms and you got to make sure all the bugs are fixed, obviously, you know, the controls and everything. So I completely understand why they need the extra time, which is totally fine. I'm just like, oh, I just wish it was coming a little bit earlier. So I'm not too annoyed. But yeah, guys, that's all the news I had for you for the very past week. A lot did happen, but actually a lot also didn't happen as well. But guys, get your Doctor Strange 2 tickets straight away. I also will have a small announcement about my episode for Doctor Strange 2 review, which will come at a later date. But keep your mind on that. So guys, let's get into the reviews. Alright, so me and my partner, Maddie, we saw Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore this past weekend for her birthday, for her date night. Because I thought, you know, this would be, you know, she's a big Harry Potter fan. Let's go back into the wizarding world. and let's have a look into this. So we went and saw it. The theater was packed, surprisingly. So all right, let's go see what this is. So, all right. So the Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore is the third entry into the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which is a prequel series to Harry Potter. Now, obviously, in this particular one, Mads Mikkelsen has replaced Johnny Depp due to his allegations with Amber Heard, which, funny enough, he had to quit, but Amber Heard didn't have to quit for Aquaman. Interesting about that, right? Why she couldn't, how that all works out. But yes, so Mads Mikkelsen in, Johnny Depp out. Now the Harry Potter, all 7 films, you're entering like the wizarding world, a wonderful, wonderful magical world, So it's meant to capture the imagination and all that. Now this movie is actually pretty dark. It's actually dark in the first 2 minutes of the movie, like dark to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I would take my kid to see this. Sorry, before I go any further, because we're talking about Fantasy Beasts, Halo, and Moonknight, spoil it. Spoilers over here, spoilers over there, spoilers, which you should 100% know that, in fact, I'm going to spoil the shit out of anything straight off the bat, because if you haven't seen it, then it's not my fault that you tune in for this episode. But yes, spoilers. Yeah, so I don't know if I would actually take my kid to see this movie, because it was actually, a little bit darker than I was expecting, which even Maddie was like, oh, okay. Even probably a little bit darker than Deathly Hallows Part 2. Now, this particular movie was obviously dealing with the fact that the crimes of Grindelwald, and Jude Law playing as Dumbledore is dealing with the fact that he can't move on Grindelwald because they have the love charm, which they can't move on each other, which he is dealing with that factor, and he's trying to figure out how to get rid of it so they can actually fight each other, because they fall in love. They're actually lovers, and they grew up. They're going to change the world, and obviously one went in one direction, one went in the other. So that's part that goes on to that, as well as with Newt. He assembles a team. He assembles a team with Dumbledore on the fact that they're trying to stop Grindelwald, but they got to do it in random ways, because the fact that Grindelwald can see into the future, so he's going to be one step ahead. So obviously, the best direction is misdirection. So he assembles a team, and they go on their journey as well. They go on the well as well, with Dumbledore popping in and popping out. Now, Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen's performance is fantastic. It is a good saving grace for this movie. They were probably standout performances, and obviously Newt's character as well. He's still doing very well for all 3 movies. Now, for the storyline, so as the movie progresses, Grindelwald, due to the Wizarding World, he's no longer having any crimes against him, and now he's getting elected to rule the Wizarding World. Given everything that he's done, I was a bit lost on that, how that all worked out. The magic side of things was really good in this movie, like the different scenes, how everything worked like that. That was really good. So the CGI was on point for this movie, very clean cut, as well as the beasts were very different as well, so that was very good. Still keeping with the Fantastic Beasts. Newt doing his particular side of things was really good. Obviously, how to handle each creature, which unfortunately there's one creature that dies at the very start, and you feel for him. You really feel for him because of how much he just loves all these animals, yet people just disregard them. They're just nothing, yet he loves them so much. He's willing to give his life for them. Yet some people won't do that. You do feel that all the way through. But the thing that was really weird was his love interest from the previous movie, Tina. She isn't in this one until like the very end. So she has probably a cameo role. Like that's as much as she really has. I was really curious to see why do you have a love interest for the first 2 movies and then suddenly put her aside? I think she's been put aside for, obviously, for Mads Mikkelsen and Jude Law. They're back and forth. But, yeah, I really... That was a very curious plot point to why. Because it's like, you're watching this love interest go through this movie, and then suddenly, for the third movie, gone. Well, she's in there for a cameo, but she's very pushed right to the side. Right to the side, nothing forward. And I'm like, okay, that was a bit weird. And there was a couple of plot holes I noticed as well when I was watching. I was like, all right, how did you appear there? Or why have you suddenly just chosen to choose this side? That was a bit weird with one of the characters. I understand the misdirection, but like it was a bit weird. His process of this particular character. Yeah, so there was a couple of plot holes a little bit there. It was good to see all these characters again. That was a good grace. However, the movie overall, it wasn't engaging to me. Like, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but what I found as a moviegoer, I was like, I don't need to see a sequel to this. Let's say I was satisfied, but I was like, knowing the fact that this is meant to be a 5-part series, that there's still 2 more to go, which obviously the main reason why a lot of people are watching this is because of the fact that it is going to be a massive fight between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, which was the first Wizarding War, which is mentioned in the Harry Potter's movies, which is just as big as Voldemort between these characters. The more interesting fact is the fact that it's actually Dumbledore's lover, once upon a time, but they have a massive, massive battle, and that's what people are waiting to see. We get a small snippet of that at the end of the movie. However, it's pretty much a flash in a pan, it's gone, and then the movie's over. So it's if they turn around and said, we're not making any more, I'd be satisfied. I'm like, all right, done. I don't think they're keeping people engaged enough to keep going with everything that's happened. Like, this movie ended, it was obviously the heroes won, Grindelwald got away, but the plot seemed not to move a whole lot. That's probably the best way I could say it. It didn't seem like, for the overall 5-part series, this movie for this plot didn't really move a lot forward to that position. Obviously, the heart potion, the heart necklace, the fact that was stopping Dumbledore to fight Grindelwald, got destroyed right at the end. So that got moved forward. So that's good. So we can leave straight into the 4th movie. However, it was probably left to desired for, and I was not blown away by this movie. I was like, oh, okay, all right, nothing really. I think for major Harry Potter fans, they probably like it. So Hogwarts was in this movie. Obviously, you had to see the film, hear the familiar sounds. Yeah, familiar sounds, the music, everything. So that took you the flash right back. But as soon as you felt those moments, it was quickly that you're gone away already, going into a different place. Like, you've already gone. Hogwarts is only in it for probably about 8 minutes or less over this entire runtime. Like, it's really not much at all. So, yeah, look, Fantastic Beasts, alright, okay movie. Don't need to see a sequel. I'm probably less intrigued I was now than I was for the other one after watching Crimes of Grindelwald. So, currently right now, there is no production and no release date for the next Fantastic Beasts, which I was actually looking at. It was originally meant to be a trilogy, but they're stretching out to 5 movies. I'm like, really? Like, do you really need to stretch out to 5 movies? You probably could end in the next one, but we'll find out. So, yeah, Fantastic Beasts, you can go watch it, the movies. I think more so if you're a big Wizarding person, Harry Potter fan, really big on that, definitely go see it. But for any casual moviegoer, I just give it a hard pass and pick something else, really. I think it's really only for the hardcore fans on that particular one. So let's jump over to Halo. Alright, so I've been very critical of Halo for the very first 2 episodes. Even in my last episode, I didn't really give it a really big review in depth because, again, nothing a lot happened. Like, the plot moved a little bit, but not a whole lot. However, this latest episode of Halo brought in Cortana, which I completely forgot while I was watching this, the fact that they got the original voice actor back for Cortana. So when she started talking, I was like, oh, that's right, they did that. All right, that's really cool. So, obviously, as this episode starts out, Halsey is trying to make or bring life to Cortana to put into Master Chief so the fact that she can bring this project to life and he can go back onto the field. Now, Cortana, the CGI of Cortana, I thought was very good. I was seeing a lot of people say the fact, oh, that looks really bad. But I'm like, no, I think for her being an AI, she looks really good compared to what happens later in the episode. And some of the first scenes in the first episode with the Covenant. So Cortana looked really good. Her mannerisms, everything were nearly dot point from like the first Halo game. This one, I think because Cortana wasn't in the very first 2 episodes, it didn't feel like a lot like Halo, but now it does. Because obviously at the beginning of Halo, Cortana's there straight off the bat, basically. But now, when Master Chief was talking to Cortana, it felt very much like Halo now to me. Me personally, I was like, all right, now let's kick this into gear, kind of style. Right, let's go, let's get this plot going. So as Cortana gets into Master Chief, he doesn't like her at the start. So she don't like at the start, which obviously I suspect that that's going to happen. That's a new relationship for Master Chief. He's not going to like her at the very start. You being obviously a Spartan, and then you go take consideration with a AI, which I think will be a very good dynamic moving forward into the upcoming episodes. Seeing them actually develop their relationship, develop that trust, get to that point, similar to what we saw in the video games, and get to that point where obviously they have that big connection to each other. And obviously we see flowing to Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo 5, and moving forward. So I think that's going to be... I think now that dynamic is in the show, I think it will make the show better. Like, it will give you something more intriguing to watch. But as the episode progresses, the main thing is the fact, with this artifact they have found, every time Master Chief touches it, it gives him flashbacks to when he was a kid. Now, with being a Spartan, they have like this kind of like pellet thing in their spine that makes him very numb to not feeling anything. But every time he touches this, he feels something. So the episode sees him trying to feel, like he goes into town. He tries to feel, obviously joy, sadness and all that. He tries to feel, which he can't. He's like numb. So, as the episode progresses, he takes out the pallet, which I really did not need to see Master Chief's ass. That's not what I thought I wanted to see in the Halo TV show. I'm like, cool. Maybe not only are we going to see his face straight away, but we're going to see his ass. Great. Fantastic. So, definitely, if anyone wanted to know, yes, you do get to see Master Chief's ass in this particular one, if you didn't already see his face. But... the dynamic is, but as she takes out, so they do build a little bit of a trust, and Master Chief actually starts to remember exactly which this planet is, that he can see in his visions with the help of Cortana. So the episode ends with the fact that them going to this planet to find the second artifact. So what we see is the fact that this artifact comes in 2 pieces because of Master Chief's memories, which will lead to Halo somehow at some point. But what we also see is that Marquis, which she's the human child. The episode starts with her background and how she got captured by the Covenant. She has the same type of ability as Master Chief. She can interact with the artifacts with Halo. I was thinking the other day, actually, for anyone who doesn't know anything about Halo, there in the first 3 episodes, there's like the actual mention of the Halo is like minuscule. So first 3 episodes, you have no idea what Halo is. For any fresh people, you would have no idea what it is moving in these first 3 episodes. So what happens is McKinney is obviously going off because she wants to get the artifact for herself, so she's going undercover. So she places a trap, which she gets on a UNSC vessel, playing, the damsel in distress, which, as they let her board their ship, we get a scene very representative of Peacemaker in the police station where all the butterflies are going into all the police. She approaches all the guards and everything, and the flood comes out, capturing everybody, killing them, grabbing them, and all that. It's a good scene, but the difference is she didn't have like a kick-ass song kicking in. She just, it was just intense music. So we get to see the flood for the first time. So basically, just tentacle flood. Nothing more. Just tentacle flood. Just grabbing people, killing them all. Which she also has. I know an energy blade, but an energy nail. Like a small knife, like a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, she had the guy all cut out by the flood, and then just used an energy nail to kill him straight to the eye. I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Wasn't energy blade, energy nail. Don't have the same ring to it, but she's got to defend herself some way. So of course she's going to have an energy nail or Swiss Army knife in some way to help her. Please excuse my dog. But yeah, her storylines became more intriguing. So for any Halo fans, definitely this episode is starting to tune up things. It's starting to get into things. Obviously more to the rich Halo mythology, and with the Cortana and Master Chief dynamic now kicking in, I think this episode has got me intrigued, and this has finally got me pumped up for the following episode. As my first episode, when I reviewed this, I said that it might get better, it might not. So at this stage, it's gotten better, and this is the first time I'm actually looking forward to another episode. First episode 1 I didn't, episode 2 I didn't, but now bring on episode 4. So definitely start tuning into Halo now, guys. I think it's really going to get really good, which I really do hope. I really do hope it does. But yeah, so definitely, but let me know your thoughts. Did you like the last episode? Did you think it was getting better, or do you think the CRJ was still a bit poor on Katana? Let me know. But without further ado, let's get into Moonknight. So, Moonknight. This just got my attention. This has got my curiosity 100%. If the first episode did, the episode 2 will definitely kick it into gear. So, how it starts off is, obviously we're doing the ramifications from the first episode. Steve is trying to remember what happened in the men's toilets at the museum. He goes back to the museum and he watches the security footage. He can't see the jackal that was chasing him. But he gets this look where he's looking at the camera in the security footage, but it's actually Mark. It's not actually him. And then what he also does is that he follows the trail with the key he found with the phone with the girl calling him, which leads him to a lockup facility where you house all your crap for extra storage king. Which in there he finds a bag, he finds like a sleeping arrangement. And I have to say, and I said this on the first one, but still going through the performance of Oscar Isaac with going back and forth between Mark and Steven is fantastic. He's portraying both characters very well. His acting chops are doing great on this aspect, and so is Ethan Hawke as Arthur. It's chilling. And so far, episode 2 definitely keeps momentum from the first one and keeps you more enriched as well. Obviously with Steve trying to figure out what's happening between Mark and then the girl he's talking to on the phone in the first episode. She appears. Her name is Layla. She is Mark's wife, and she has no idea about Stephen or the other personalities at all. So Stephen's talking to her with Mark in the background, the mirror, talking to Steve as well, saying he's an idiot. He also loses his job at the museum because of what happened. They believe that he actually did all the damage. Obviously, bit intense, bit of angry employee, but unfortunately he gets fired, and which leads to him getting caught and taken to Arthur. Because these cops, bag and tag him, but he's actually taken straight to Arthur, which Arthur goes more in depth about what he's trying to do, why he needs the scarab, why he wants to resurrect this Egyptian god, plunge the world with an evil Egyptian that wants to kill all evildoers before the evil is done. Which, when I was listening to when he was talking about it, it made me think of Captain America, the Winter Soldier. When Samuel L. Jackson is talking to Cap, and he's like, with these airships, what they're going to do, what they're going to be able to do, is eliminate the threat before it happens. Which, Cap says, this isn't freedom, this is fear. This could cause, with all these helicarriers going around, this could be really dangerous. Which made me think of this particular, when he's talking about that she, this Egyptian girl will kill him before the action gets out, which, you can't do that, because then Steve's like, well, would you kill a baby? And Arthur's like, it doesn't matter. It's still, that baby's going to do evil things. And he's like, I don't want to be with these people if they're going to do, if you're willing to kill a baby. So that goes more in depth into that, and then what happens from there is the action kicks in. We get to see Mr. Knight for the first time. Steve realizes he can turn on the suit, which he fumbles and falls really badly at it. Oh, so funny though. He tries to do the superhero landing, which he does, but then falls over. I've been loving all the Deadpool memes, of course, of that. And so we get to see Mr. Knight for the first time, and then what we also get to see is an awesome transformation scene where Steve's like, I can't do this, and then Mark's like, no, let me take over. He's like, okay. We get this awesome transformation scene of when Mark turns into Moonknight, basically, and then that's when the fighting kicks in, and the CGI is holding very well for this episode all the way through. I'm loving it. Loving it all, and it's still holding on, with Moon Knight's suit, him finding the CGI jackal, which only Moon Knight can see. Layla is there, but she can't see the jackal also. It looks like he's just being an idiot and he's just fighting the air, but he's still getting pushed and punched around. There's a cool scene where he is fighting the jackal, but from Layla's point of view, it looks like he's just getting his ass whooped without him knowing. So that was cool. I am enjoying seeing the different perspectives of every person, to what's happening to, obviously, Steve Grant, obviously what's happening to Mark, and seeing how that's all going around. But yeah, Moon Knight kicks in, which goes into a fight with the Jackal, which is really cool, especially how he kills the Jackal. I was like, yeah, boy! Which then leads to, again, obviously just this is a quick rundown with the episode, which leads to, obviously, Mark and Steven have another conversation in between a mirror, which gets really heated and intense. And this is what I mean. The performance between each two characters is great. So basically, what Mark's trying to convey is the fact that he has a mission, he has to get it done. If he doesn't get it done, the Cronshaw, obviously the god that takes over the moon, takes the god. The moon god that was giving all the powers. He said the fact if you don't follow our deal, that I'm taking Layla as my next host, which he doesn't want to do because of the fact that obviously it's his wife. So that's why he's going to this mission. He tries to convey it to Steve, but Steve's saying how horrible you are for doing this. He's trying to explain what it's like being in his head, how powerless you feel, how much concentration it takes. And, we get a more close-up of Khonshu. We get to see a close-up of his character. He even said, he's like, I'm vengeance. I'm like, ooh, I wonder if that's a little nod to Batman. But I did like it, though. Which leads to that, and then what happens is the episode ends with Mark, obviously going to Egypt rather than an episode in Egypt to follow Arthur and obviously stop him from resurrecting this god because he's got the scarab now. Whew, that was a quick rundown. So overall, the episode, CGI good, action good, performance good, but just the multiple personality stuff is really intriguing. Still, I couldn't see anything of MCU connection, which I know it's going to come around the corner. That's the thing. I know they're trying to keep this a self-contained story because I have to say that there's too many heroes in New York, which is why this is in Europe. But it's doing very well. So this is the thing. Out of Halo and Moonknight, obviously more of a Marvel fan, clearly. Moonknight has got my attention. This is probably the best show that could have started this year off. It's very intriguing. It's action-packed. You're getting something different. And the interesting thing is the fact after this, we're getting Miss Marvel after this. So it's going to be a completely different show again. But the interesting is this is coming out before Doctor Strange. So by the time this ends, Doctor Strange will just be around the corner, which is why you guys need to get your tickets. You need to get them. But so far, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I didn't know much about the character. Also, I knew the fact that he was basically a white Batman, and he has multiple personalities, and he's rich. That's basically all the aspect I did know going into this. But I'm loving this, and I can't wait to see Moonknight progress, and how this is going to affect, obviously, him popping up to other things. Obviously, him being in London. Will he obviously appear with Blade? Will he also appear with the Black Knight, which we saw at the end of the Eternals? Is it going to lead into that? That's the big question. But so far, I have seen some criticisms about the show. However, I'm loving it from top to bottom. It's got my attention. It's got my curiosity, and there's not much fault to it I can actually see. Characters are progressing. It's enriching the story. It's keeping up with the action, and just Oscar Isaac is carrying this with his performance. And I'm pumped for episode 3. I saw a small promo on Twitter the other day. I'm like, oh my god! You see another transformation scene. It looks like we're going to get the aspect of how did Mark become the Moon Knight? Because we do understand the fact he was left for dead. And then Khonshu came to him. So hopefully we get a flashback to see how he became the character, his journey to this point, and how does Steven play into this as well. But look, guys, that is my review for Moonknight. I'm loving it. You need to watch it now. You need to go onto it, and you need to get your Doctor Strange 2 tickets as well. And that was also my review on Halo, my review on Fantastic Beasts, which out of all three, that was probably the least one I was intrigued, fascinated by, or thought was good. Halo and Moonknight was a lot better quality than Fantastic Beasts. For one's a big production movie and one's a TV show, yet the TV show is doing a lot better than that movie. So guys, without further ado, thank you very much for joining me for this episode. And always remember, please, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, the rundown. And if you have any friends that obviously want to keep up to date with this stuff, drop lights, camera, rant, and come and join me for this journey. Especially with everything that's happening with this year. I know I said it before, but there is so much coming up. As well as as I mentioned earlier, I have a special surprise for the Doctor Strange 2 episode review I will be doing, but I will announce it at a later date. So guys, thank you very much, and always, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.